Let me start this video out by saying something big is coming to Modern Warfare, and I think something huge may even be coming to Modern Warfare. And no, I'm not talking about a game mode or changes to weapons or a new operator. I am talking about something big coming as far as the story goes in Modern Warfare. And of course, the time that would make the most sense for this is right at the beginning of Season 4. Now, the question is, why do I know this and why am I saying this? Well, to fully understand, we have to go back to the launch of Modern Warfare. At the launch of Modern Warfare, before the game even came out, on the Activision blog, Activision put up a bunch of individual stories revolving around individual characters, ranging from Farah to Captain Price, Alex, Kyle Garrick. Pretty much everyone in the main campaign of Modern Warfare had a little backstory on the Activision blog. Well, in the last couple of days, they started putting out these stories again for a couple of new characters, or kind of new characters that were introduced to us at the end of the Modern Warfare campaign. And the two characters that these blogs focused on were two bad guys. That is Kahled Al-Asad and Viktor Zakhaev. So to fully understand the new story of these characters, we first have to look at how they were introduced in the end of the Modern Warfare campaign. So essentially, throughout the main Modern Warfare campaign, there were four bad guys. The first of which was known as the Wolf, the lead of the Al-Qatala army. Halfway through the campaign, he is shot in the head and killed. His right-hand man, known as the Butcher, is captured halfway through the game by Kyle Garrick, Captain Price, and Nikolai, tortured and assumably put into a prison somewhere. The third is known as Roman Barkov. Well, we all know how that turned out.
This is for Hadir.
And then our final bad guy is Farah's brother, Hadir Karim. As we find out through the campaign, he is the one that stole the gas at the very beginning of the game from Alex. On top of this, he committed many war atrocities, and by the end of the game, he is kept in a Russian prison. But he is also the only one out of these people that we hear about after the game is over. And this statement is incredibly important for the rest of the story, so pay very close attention to what Kate Laswell says here.
Enjoy the tea, then.
Zakhaev wants Barkov's throne.
I almost buried him in Pripyat with Macmillan.
That was the father. This is the son, Viktor.
Lovely family.
They're big fans of Hadir's.
Well, that would explain why he's still alive.
They're gonna get him out.
Then give me what I need.
So as you're going to find out through this video, there is a ton of important information in that statement, but the first of which is that Zakhaev wants Barkov's throne. So after the death of Roman Barkov, essentially there is a big power vacuum in Russia, and basically a blank space left for someone to come and take over Barkov's army. And Viktor Zakhaev is the one who wants to do it. As you can tell there, Captain Price mentions, I almost buried him in Pripyat with Macmillan, but that's of course talking about Imran Zakhaev, not his son, Viktor. Viktor is the one we are going to be focusing on in the first part of this video. Now, once again, I am getting this information from the Activision blog, so we know that it is real information since they are giving it to us. But it's some weird information and some contradictory information to things that we already know to be true. And you'll see what I mean by that in a second. So the very first thing that they tell you in this article is that Mr. Z, this mysterious Mr. Z, the arms dealer that we have been going after in the Spec Ops story, is none other than Viktor Zakhaev, not his father, Imran Zakhaev, but rather Viktor Zakhaev. Which is a little strange because the images that we see of this man look a lot more like Imran than they do Viktor. But it gets way weirder than that, because if you keep reading the article, you find out that Imran Zakhaev is supposedly dead. Now, there's a very good reason why I say supposedly, and that is because it doesn't actually make any sense with everything that we know so far in the story. More specifically, in this article, it says that in the year 1994, Imran Zakhaev had a heart attack but then recovered. After this, he died in the year 2011. As we know, Modern Warfare takes place in 2019 and 2020, so all of this isn't kind of adding up, because once again, if we have a listen to that very same cutscene from the end of the game, have a listen once again to what Kate Laswell says.
I almost buried him in Pripyat with Macmillan.
That was the father. This is the son, Victor.
Lovely family.
They're big fans of Hadir's.
Well, that would explain why he's still alive.
They are big fans of Hadir. Not he, they, which means both Imran and Victor are fans of Hadir, and Hadir really only came out of the wet work in 2019, and apparently Imran died in 2011. That literally makes zero sense, because then Imran wouldn't have known him, therefore they wouldn't say they. So that's thing number one that doesn't make any sense. But more recently, there was a trailer or teaser put out for Season 4 where we get to see Victor Zakhaev and Al-Asad having a conversation. Down in the bottom right-hand corner, we see some Russian writing, and of course that Russian writing stands for Imran Zakhaev. So Imran is hosting the call. So it appears as though in 2011, Imran Zakhaev may not be dead, but rather have faked his own death. Hence why when we see the pictures of Mr. Z, it looks actually a lot more like Imran, but intelligence-wise, we actually think he's dead. This also lines up with what we know from Imran Zakhaev in Call of Duty 4, where Captain Price thought he was dead until Imran Zakhaev called Al-Asad, and that's when Price knew that Imran Zakhaev was still alive.
Sir, it's his cell phone. Who was that, sir?
Zakhaev. Imran Zakhaev.
Now, I can't be 100% sure that Imran Zakhaev is still alive. Based off of this intel that they put up on the Activision blog, he died in 2011, but like I said, that doesn't really match everything else that we know from the story, so it almost appears as though Activision and Infinity Ward are faking Imran's death. As far as Victor's story, the rest of his story, essentially growing up under his father and assuming his beliefs and that hate for the Western culture. And when he grows up and takes over the family business of weapon smuggling, hence the company name Zakhaev Arms. And one way or another, he gets in touch with Kahled Al-Asad, they start working together, and essentially, Victor Zakhaev is now the weapons supplier, arms dealer for the Al-Qatala army. And now we see him getting involved with nuclear weapons and trying to get those in the hands of Al-Qatala as well. And this brings us to the story of Kahled Al-Asad. So we already know that Al-Asad is working with Victor Zakhaev to get weapons. And with this alliance, the group known as the Ultra-Nationalists are the Russian group now working with the new Al-Qatala soldiers. But the thing is, Al-Asad is not Al-Asad. You may remember a couple of months ago, I made a video claiming that Hadir was Kahled Al-Asad, and there's a ton of evidence to support that, but they pretty much just proved it through this biography. In this biography, it specifically says, intelligence analysts have determined that Al-Asad was unlawfully freed from prison by Zakhaev and turned loose on the city of Verdansk for the express purpose of pointing Assad's unyielding and zealous hatred into an invasion of the historical city. Do you remember what Kate Laswell said at the very beginning of this video that we talked about? Let me play it one more time for you.
They're big fans of Hadir's.
Well, that would explain why he's still alive.
They're gonna get him out.
Hadir was in a Russian prison, and Kate Laswell said that the Zakhaevs were going to free him and use them to their advantage. Well, a very similar backstory to Al-Asad, isn't it? Not to mention that Kahled Al-Asad translated translates to the immortal lion. Do you remember what Hadir's father used to call him? They very briefly mention it in the campaign.
Hadir took the high ground for us. My father called Hadir Shabal, his little lion.
What happened to him?
And it appears as though that little lion known as Hadir has grown up into an immortal lion known as Kahled Al-Asad. Now, I get it, coincidences can happen in video games, but when it's planned out just like this, for them to have the almost exact same backstories, that's a little bit too much for me. Now, like I said, I have a video where I go in depth into this theory, but if you'd like to see me go even deeper with this, look at all of the details in one video, all you gotta do to show me is simply hit that like button. The more likes this video gets, the more likely I will be to dive more and more into that storyline. But as always, if you enjoyed this video, it's appreciated if you hit that like button. If you like these story videos, want to stay up to date on everything Call of Duty and everything on my channel, the best way to do so is make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you have notifications turned on. Let me know what you think down in the comments. But as always, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, and until next time, peace out.
We are reaching